we're always diving into current events here at ACN, but it's important to, look back at our community's history.
Yep.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into a significant figure in Ashley County's past.
Okay.
OVID T Switzer Sr.
All right.
We've got some great material for you all today.
Oh, yeah.
Excerpts from his own courtroom arguments and some great stuff from the OVID Switzer papers.
Okay.
And we really want to understand the impact that he had on Ashley County.
Okay.
How it echoes even today.
All right.
This is really foundational information
Oh, for sure.
about Ashley County's past
Yeah.
and its connection to today.
Yeah, this deep dive is all about foundational knowledge. OVID T Switzer Sr. was, by all accounts, a good man.
That's right.
And a good lawyer.
Good guy, good lawyer.
He consistently stood up for the everyday person.
Mm-hmm.
And as we go through his life, you'll see this dedication to the community and to individuals.
It really runs in the family.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
OVID T Switzer Sr., born just outside Crossett in 1903.
Okay.
And it's really something to think about how his life unfolded alongside the transformation of Crossett from a small sawmill town into the thriving center we know today.
Absolutely.
So his personal history is intertwined. With the town's growth.
It really is. His path to becoming a lawyer is also quite interesting.
Oh, yeah?
He learned by working with George Norman in Hamburg, which was pretty common way to become a lawyer back then.
Okay.
Before law schools were as prevalent.
Right.
You'd read the law with a practicing attorney.
Right.
And so after he passed his exams, he took a really big leap of faith. In 1929, at just 26 years old.
Wow.
He opened the very first independent law office in Crossett.
Now you have to remember, Crossett at that time
was very much a company town.
Right.
It was largely controlled by the Crossett Lumber Company.
Right.
So just setting up an independent business, finding your own space, couldn't have been a simple task.
No. Not at all.
That speaks to his determination.
Absolutely.
Right out the gate.
Yeah, he wasn't just the first independent lawyer.
Right.
He was one of the early independent business owners, full stop.
Wow.
So that kind of entrepreneurial drive and that willingness to chart his own course, I think, is really notable.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So as we delve into his career, one theme that really jumps out is Switzer's deep commitment to the community. His consistent effort to fight for what's right for ordinary people.
For the common man.
Right. And a perfect example of this is his environmental advocacy in the late 1940s.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
What's fascinating here is that Switzer actually challenged the Crossett Company directly.
Okay.
They were releasing untreated wastewater, liquid effluent, into an open ditch that ran through town.
Oh, wow.
That unfortunately became known as Stink Creek.
Stink Creek.
You can imagine what kind of impact this had on the people living nearby.
Think about that.
Yeah.
A creek so polluted it earned that name.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it wasn't just unpleasant. It likely had real consequences for people's health and their daily lives.
Yeah.
And there's Switzer taking on the major economic force in town about it.
Exactly.
That shows real backbone.
It really does. He was persistent in his advocacy.
Right.
And he didn't back down from the challenge.
Good for him.
And ultimately, his efforts led to a really significant positive change.
Right.
The Crossett Company ended up channeling that effluent through a closed culvert. Which was a tangible improvement for the community and a clear demonstration of Switzer's dedication to their well-being.
That's great. So from protecting the local environment, he also built a strong reputation as a really tenacious lawyer.
That's right.
And we have some compelling insights into that aspect of his career through his closing arguments in court.
Right.
Specifically, a case from the 1940s that involved a young boy.
Yeah, this particular case really shows his commitment to justice for individuals.
Yeah.
We have access to handwritten notes from his closing argument. And reading them, you can just feel the power of his conviction.
Wow.
The case involved a 16-year-old boy who was accused of a very serious crime. And Switzer's defense really centered on the character of this young man. Portraying him as someone who had lived a life of purity and innocence.
Right.
And so the heart of his defense is so clear.
Right.
He's arguing that the boy's entire life up to that point just simply didn't align with committing such a horrific act.
Right.
He uses this really vivid language.
Yeah.
This boy has led a pure and blameless life.
Right.
He is not familiar with the walks of life where criminals are made.
Wow.
His hand and his heart are free from the stain of crime.
Wow.
Don't think that a life of peace and innocence can suddenly bloom into a harvest of an atrocious crime.
Right.
The tree shall be known by its fruit.
Mm-hmm.
The thorn and thistle do not bear delicious figs.
Wow.
That's powerful stuff.
That is powerful stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
What stands out to me is how directly he's appealing to the jury's fundamental sense of right and wrong.
Right.
Their understanding of human nature.
Yeah.
He's essentially asking them to look at the entirety of this young man's life.
Mm-hmm.
Does it logically follow
that
he would suddenly be capable of this crime?
Yeah, and he doesn't hold back in his plea for fairness.
No, he doesn't.
He makes this very direct and emotional appeal, saying, in the name of law, in the name of common humanity, as you hope for mercy and justice at that dread day.
Yeah. When the archangel shall sound the last trumpet and the graves shall yield up their dead.
Wow.
I implore you, deal fairly with this boy.
Yeah.
Pierce him not with the sword of persecution.
Wow.
That kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
Even reading it now is so impactful.
It really is. And if we connect it back to our focus on Switzer as a champion for the common person, you can really see his deep empathy in these words.
Yeah.
His willingness to use every tool at his disposal to protect someone he believed to be unjustly accused.
Right. And the handwritten notes provide even more context.
They do.
He refers to the prosecution's arguments as blistering with falsehoods rank foul and God-defying falsehoods.
Wow.
So he's clearly deeply invested
in
preventing what he sees as a grave injustice.
Right. He's not just going through the motions. He really believes in this.
Yeah. I also makes a point about the boy's upbringing, mentioning that he comes from a family that values the Bible.
Right.
Lives with a sense of religious faith, leads an honest life.
Right.
And it's a clear attempt to connect with the jury's own values and beliefs.
Absolutely.
The underlying argument is someone with this background is highly unlikely to commit such a crime.
Right. And he even takes it a step further.
Okay.
Arguing that a conviction based on flimsy evidence would not only destroy this young man's life, but would also cast a permanent shadow on the reputation of Ashley County itself. And undermine the very principles of liberty that the legal system is supposed to uphold.
So he's raising the stakes.
He is.
Beyond just this individual case.
He is.
Wow, and that contrast he draws between this boy's upbringing and the walks of life where criminals are made. Such an effective way to frame his argument.
Yeah, it really is.
It all underscores his tenacity.
Absolutely.
As an advocate.
Yeah, he wasn't simply going through the motions. He was deeply committed to ensuring a just outcome. And this case really solidified his reputation as a lawyer who would fight tirelessly for his clients.
So beyond his work in the courtroom, Switzer was also deeply involved in public service.
Yeah.
He served in the Arkansas Senate.
That's right.
And was appointed to the Parks and Tourism Commission by multiple governors.
Yeah.
So that level of commitment outside of his legal practice really speaks volumes.
It really does.
About his dedication to the broader community.
It does, and his contributions in this arena were significant for our region. He's even remembered as the father of Chico State Park.
Wow.
And his instrumental role in establishing that beautiful resource has had a lasting positive impact on tourism and the local economy.
That's great.
It really demonstrates a vision that extended far beyond individual legal cases.
Right. So you see this pattern fighting for individuals in court, fighting for the community's well-being with the Stink Creek issue. And then working at the state level to bring something as significant as a state park to the area.
A state park that we all enjoy today.
Yeah, it paints a picture of a man deeply invested in the betterment of his community on multiple fronts.
And his commitment wasn't confined to his professional life. It extended to his personal life as well.
Okay.
He built his home and even a motel restaurant near Crossett.
Okay.
Further demonstrating his investment in the local area, providing services for the community.
Right.
He also owned a Western auto store and a gas station.
Wow.
So he was a real active part of the fabric of the community.
Yeah, for
many years.
And he had a large family.
Yeah.
With sons Bruce, who followed him into law,
right.
OVID T Jr., Roderick and Phil.
Right. And it's clear that his roots in Ashley County run deep.
Yeah.
We even have information about his great-grandparents.
Oh, wow. And grandparents.
Right.
Frederick A. and Julia Switzer.
Okay.
And Frederick Harvey and Lily Switzer.
Okay.
Along with other family members like Nettie M., Charles F., David M., Eosa Lee, Isidore, and Roselle Green.
Wow.
And it really illustrates this long and established connection to this land and its people.
That deep family history stretching back generations in this region likely played a significant role in shaping his strong sense of responsibility towards the community.
Yeah, I think so.
When your roots run that deep, there's often a powerful desire to contribute, make things better.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the place you call home.
For sure.
And he lived a long and full life, passing away in Crossett in 2001 at nearly 100 years old.
Yeah, almost a century.
Wow.
Of witnessing and, as we've seen, actively shaping the history of Ashley County.
Yeah.
And his legacy of service continues through his family.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, his son, OVID J. Switzer Jr.
Also dedicated himself to serving the community.
That's great.
A long career at Georgia Pacific Service in the Arkansas Air National Guard.
Wow.
Involvement with the Ashley County Sheriff's Department.
Wow.
He even organized the annual Crossett Toy Run.
Oh, wow.
Which is a wonderful way to give back to the community year after year.
Yeah, it's as if that spirit of service was truly ingrained in the family.
Yeah, it seems to be.
And we also know that OVID T Switzer Sr. identified as a Democrat and was actively involved in numerous local organizations, including the Crossett Riding Club, Rotary Club, Prairie Country Club, and First Baptist Church.
Wow, what a life.
It really highlights the breadth and depth of his engagement with the community on so many levels.
He was really interwoven into the fabric of Crossett. And even the details of his passing, being preceded in death by his wives, his brothers, a son and a grandson.
Wow.
And survived by his other sons. His companion, his grandchildren, and even great-great-grandchildren.
Wow.
It paints this picture of a long life marked by both joy and sorrow. Always deeply connected to a large and loving family. And the fact that memorial contributions were directed to the local library, the Writing Club, and the Centennial Park Project really speaks volumes about his lifelong priorities, the things that he held dear.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, it's clear that OVID T Switzer Sr. Was far more than just a name in the history books of Ashley County. His legal work had a direct and positive impact on individuals. His advocacy led to tangible environmental improvements that benefited the entire community.
That's right.
And his dedication to public service. Most notably, the creation of Lake Chico State Park. Has left a lasting legacy for generations.
For sure.
He truly embodies the idea of a good guy and a good lawyer. Who consistently championed the cause of the common person.
Absolutely.
And as we've explored, he came from a remarkable family.
He did.
With deep and meaningful roots right here in Ashley County.
His life and career really offer some invaluable insights into the history of Ashley County and clearly demonstrate the profound impact that a single individual driven by a strong sense of justice and a deep commitment to community spirit can achieve.
It's inspiring.
It is.
So as you continue your day, take a moment to reflect on this deep dive into the life of OVID T Switzer Sr. Consider how individuals today, right here in Ashley County and beyond, can similarly dedicate themselves to their communities, strive to leave a lasting positive impact. What can we learn from his example of perseverance in the face of challenges, his unwavering advocacy for those in need,
absolutely,
and his deep and abiding commitment to the common good?
It's something worth thinking about.
It is something worth thinking about.
For sure.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to this deep dive on OVID T Switzer Sr.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you next time
See ya.
on The Deep Dive.